Hey guys, now I welcome you to the first module of this course. So, as I mentioned earlier, the 5 disciplines of branding, this is the first one. So, discipline 1 would be differentiate. In order to differentiate, just do what the brand consultants does. Demand unambiguous answer to these 3 little questions. Okay, unambiguous means not to be open to more than one interpretation. So, the 3 questions are who you are, what you do, and why does it matter. Now, the first question is fairly easy for most companies to answer. We are, for example, we are Royal Bakers, the best bakery in Cochin. The second question is a bit harder. It's like we are bakery. No, we are more than bakers. We are a multi-cuisine restaurant too. But the third question is where it gets tricky. It matters because we are really good bakers and restaurants. Sure, that everyone says that because we sell the widest range of sweets and puffs. Right, but I only need one kind of sweet and I'm already buying it from somewhere else because we have the best waiters. Okay, then prove it. Unless you have compelling answer to all 3 questions, meaning the customers finding them irresistible, you haven't got a brand. If you do have compelling answer, that's great. Then you can skip this module right ahead. And if you are still here, that means you want to know more about it. Because most companies have an occasional trouble answering the first question, a little trouble answering the second one, and a lot more trouble answering the third. So together, these questions provide a litmus test for what makes you different and what gives your company the reasons for its existence. A good example would be V-Guard. We are V-Guard. We make stabilizers and related equipments. It matters because generation of consumers have trusted our equipment. Their trademark is a silhouette of a kangaroo and their tagline is the name you can trust. As long as V-Guard folks can keep it this simple, their brand will keep running. Okay, now if they begin to add too many unrelated products and services to their line, how their message will turn muddy and their brand will get stuck. So let's say for example they decide to hedge their bets by adding healthcare, real estate, fertilizers to the mix. So how would they differentiate the brand? We are big, we got you know us for stabilizers, but we do much more than that. It matters because you can come to us for a lot more things. As a consumer, I'll be like, I think so. I'll go for Philips for stabilizers rather than this V-Guard. So you understood the gist. Clorox is a company that understands differentiation. Clorox is a US company that promotes disinfectants and bleach like Dettol and Harpic. So when Clorox purchased Hidden Valley Ranch dressing, a food product manufacturer, their marketing people had the good sense not to add to their product line and rename it as Clorox Hidden Valley. In fact, the name Clorox had never appeared in any of those Hidden Valleys packages, advertisements, or any marketing campaigns. Yet you would be surprised on how many companies have violated this common sense and paid the price. The lesson is keep it pure and keep it different. Differentiation works because of the way our human cognitive system works. Our brain acts as a filter to protect us from the vast amount of irrelevant information that surrounds us every day. To keep us from drowning in triviality, it learns to tell things apart. So we get these data from our senses, then compare it to the data we had from our early experience and put it into a category. Thus, we can differentiate between a dog and a lion, a shadow and a light, or maybe an edible mushroom and a poisonous one. So the sense we rely mostly is sight. Our visual system is hardwired to discern the difference between the things we see, starting from the biggest difference and working down to the smallest. So it looks for contrast. It recognizes the difference between the subject and the background, the big and the small, the dark and the light, the rough and the smooth, the fat and the thin, the motionless and the moving. So then the brain takes over and begins making sense or makes meaning. It recognizes the difference such as those between near and far, or whether is it old or new, whether is it light or heavy, peaceful or aggressive, simple and complex, or easy to use or difficult to use. So these concerns of our visual systems are related to those of aesthetics, the study of beauty. So both are about perceiving the differences. What's more is that the concern of aesthetics are similar to those of branding. So when we come upon a new product, a package, a page, or the layout that uses contrast masterfully, not only on its designs but on its very concept, we find it aesthetically pleasing because we like it. The traditional view of design is that it has four possible goals: to identify, to inform, to entertain, or to persuade. But there is a hidden fifth element, that is differentiate. While the first four are tactical, the fifth one is more of a strategical one. With its roots deep in aesthetics, a powerful combination of logic and magic. As we moved from one size fits all economy to a mass customization economy, the attention of marketing has shifted from features to benefits to experience to the tribal identification. In other words, selling has evolved from an emphasis that what it has to what it does and what you will feel to who you are. This shift demonstrates that while features and benefits are still important to people, personal identity has become even more important. Cognitive experts advise marketers that instead of building a brand on USP, the unique selling proposition of a product, they should pay more attention to UBS, the unique buying state of their customers. The success of a Nike brand is an ample proof that this concept works. So, as a weekend athlete, my two nagging doubts are whether I am good enough to play the sport and that I am lazy. So, I'm not really worried about the shoes, to be honest. But when the Nike folks say, just do it, they're peering into my soul, and I begin to feel that if they understand me that well, their shoes are probably pretty good. Then I'm willing to join the tribe of Nike. If you stretch the concept of tribe just a little, you can see that a brand creates a tribe. Depending upon your unique buying state, you can join any number of tribes on any number of days and feel part of something much bigger than yourself. So, for example, you can belong to the Yonex tribe when you play shuttle, and a Volkswagen tribe when you drive to work, and a Sanjeev Kapoor tribe when you cook a meal. So, you're part of a selected clan, or so you feel, when you buy products from these clearly differentiated companies. Brands are little gods of modern life, each ruling a different need, different activity, different mood, or a different situation, yet you're in control. If your latest god falls from the heaven, you can switch to a new one. These are the three most important words in branding, and these words are focus, focus, and focus. The danger is rarely too much focus but too little. An unfocused brand is the one brand that's so broad that it doesn't stand for anything. A focused brand, by contrast, knows exactly what it is and why it's different and why people want it. Yet focus is difficult to achieve because it means giving up something. It runs a counter to our most basic marketing instinct. If we narrow our offering, won't we be narrowing our opportunity for profit as well? Well, the answer is not necessarily. It's often better to be number one in a small category than to be number three in a large one. At the number three, your strategy may have to include cutting down your prices, whereas at number one, you can charge at a premium. History has shown us that it pays handsomely well to be number one in your category. First, because of the higher margins. Second, because of the risk of commoditization is almost non-existent. Yet, number two can also be profitable despite a smaller market share. Number 3, 4, and 5, however, may not be worth the effort unless you think you have a realistic shot at becoming number 2 someday. Brand Guru suggests similarities of growing a brand to managing a timber reserve. So you plant new trees for future profit. Brand Guru suggests similarities of growing a brand to managing a timber reserve. So you plant new trees for future profits and you harvest old trees for profits today. The trick with this brand is to know which one is which. So what may seem like growing a brand may actually be harvesting it. For example, take line extensions. When you have a successful product or a service, nearly irresistible temptation is to leverage the brand, to extend it to a family. It makes complete sense except when it doesn't. A brand extension can make sense when new addition to the family serve to strengthen the meaning of the brand, adding mass and definition to whatever it was making you different. For example, in supermarket, a good example of growth by brand extension is OXO Good Grips, the clever line of hand tools whose every new addition reinforces its ownership of easy grip, high style, black and white pack category. Brand extension makes less sense when they are driven by a desire for short-term profits with regard to focus. What makes them especially seductive is that they can work remarkably well in short time even as they undermine the position of the brand. A recent example of defocusing by brand extension is Cayenne, a SUV from Porsche. A single misguided stroke, Porsche has pulled the rug from under its own reputation as a maker of classic sport cars. They maintain that Cayenne is an example of Porsche innovation. But Porsche fans will say it's a grab for profits in a tired market. If Porsche had invented this SUV, people might see it as an innovation. But at the tail end of this trend, it looks more like a greed, especially since Porsche is already highly profitable. So naturally, the new car will sell. It got the Porsche styling, engineering, and the pedigree, all of which can be harvested through line extension. But the real question is, what does Porsche stand for now? Even in the best of times, principle of focus is a hard mistress, demanding fidelity, courage, and determination. And when the company faces additional pressure from the stockholders' expectation, political infighting, unexpected competition rising, or the change from the management, there's a temptation to extend the product line for a short relief, even at the expense of its own market position. So, the main thing is resist, because long-term survival of the brand depends on staying focused. As a position experts puts it, differentiate or die. Now let's summarize what we learned so far in this module. So to begin building your brand, ask yourself these three questions: who you are, what you do, and why does it matter? Our brain filters out irrelevant information, letting in only what's different and useful. So why does your product matters to me? So differentiation has evolved from a focus on what it is to what it does to how you will feel to who you are. While the features, benefits, and price are still important to people, experience and personal identity are even more important. As globalism removes barriers, people erect new ones. They create tribes, intimate worlds they can understand and participate in. Brand names are tribal gods, each ruling a different space within the tribe. Can't be number one or number two in your niche. Redefine your space and move to a different tribe. And I'll see you in the next module.